In this video, you are going to learn how to determine the number of solutions an equation has. An equation can have infinitely many solutions, no solution, or one solution. These can be done mentally, but for a person that can't do them mentally, you will require to do the following steps. Using the steps to solve these equations is the same as solving multi-step, two-step, or any other equation. All right. The only thing you're doing is observing and inspecting to see whether or not it have one solution, no solution, or infinitely many solutions. So we are going to start with number 1. So in number 1, we have x plus 3 plus 7 equals to 2x minus 10 minus x. All right. If you looked on the left-hand side of my equation, I'm just going to write L for left-hand side and R for right-hand side. If you looked on the left-hand side of the equal sign, you can see that we have what we call like terms. Positive 3 and positive 7, these are constant, they're like terms. We can combine them. And on the right, we have what we call variable like terms. 2x and minus x. So let us start by combining the like terms on the left. So here we have x, positive 3 plus positive 7 is positive 10, equals to 2x minus x, 2x, let me just write it here, 2x minus x. If you can do this mentally, just write it down. This means to my TMS, to myself. 2x minus x is going to be x. Remember that the coefficient of x there is 1, but we don't write 1x in algebra. The x by itself implies that there's a 1, a coefficient of 1. So 2 minus 1 is 1x. And then we have the 10 there. We don't have a like term for the 10, so we write it back. So looking at this, you don't have to go a step further, but I am going to go further to show you what I'm talking. So in just looking at this, just inspecting, once you have the same variable here and different constant, same variable, same coefficient, different constant on the left and different constant on the right, it means that this equation has no solution. All right, let us take it a bit further. Let us try to solve it by putting or grouping our variable on the left and our constant on the right. So I am going to move my variable to the left by taking away x from both sides. If I take x from there, I also take x from here. So this is going to be gone. This is going to be 0 equals, and this is going to be gone. I am going to have 0 here. And remember, I don't use a constant, which is a 10 yet, so I'm going to write it back. Here, I'm going to write back my minus 10. All right, so remember now 0 plus anything will give you back that number. So 0 plus 10 is going to be 10. And 0 minus 10 is going to be minus 10. So looking at this now, 10 is not equal to negative 10. They are different. This is not true. Positive 10 and negative 10 is not the same thing. So this means they are not equal to each other. So once we have the left not equal to the right, it means that there is no solution, 0 solution. This is saying anything, any values you put for x, it will not satisfy this equation. It will not be true. So therefore, we don't have a solution. All right? So let me go again. Once the left is not the same thing as what is on the right of the equal sign, the equation does not have any solution. Let us move on to number 2. So number 2 here, we have a parentheses on the left. Let me just write L for left here, left-hand side, and R for right-hand side. So on my left, we have parentheses. Based on order of operation, we have to start with the parentheses when solving an equation. Here, we can combine any like terms in the parentheses because these two terms are different. We have a variable and we have a constant. So what we're going to do here is to use what we call the distributive property to get rid of the parentheses. All right. So we're going to have 3 times x, which is 3x, to positive 3 times x times positive 3 times positive x is positive 3x plus positive 3 times positive 4 is going to be positive 12 equals to, we don't have anything like terms or parentheses on the right, so we are going to write back exactly what is there. So here, if you look at this equation, the same exact thing, the same variable, same coefficient, the same constant that is on the left is the exact same thing on the right. For this equation, once we have the same exact thing, right, it means that this equation have infinitely many solutions. This is saying whatever value you choose for x, it will always satisfy the equation, meaning that the left will always be equal to the right. Let us try a few values for x. So let us say that x is equals to 2. Just choosing a random number. So anywhere in this equation here, you're going to substitute the variable x for 2. So here we're going to have 3. Where we have x, we put 2 here, plus 12 equals to 3 again. Replace the x with 2 plus 12. So here we have 3 times 2 is 6 plus 12 equals to 3 times 2 is 6 plus 12. And we can combine these numbers. 6 plus 12 is 18. And here we have 6 plus 12 is still going to be 18. So you notice when we chose this random value of x and substitute it back into the original equation, we get both sides to be the same. All right, let us try 0. Let us say that x is equals to 0. So anywhere in the equation you see the value of x, you replace it with 0. All right, plus 12 equals to 3 times 0 plus 12. So 3 times 0 is 0 plus 12. Over my right-hand side, 3 times 0 is 0 plus 12. So if you add 0 to 12, you're going to get back 12. And if you add 0 to 12, you are going to get back 12. So far, we tried 2 random values for x, and we get the left-hand side to be the same thing as the right. So this is just saying any values, it have infinitely many. Any values you choose for x and you substitute it in the equation, the left is going to forever be equal to the right. So this have many solutions. Any value of x you choose, it will satisfy this equation. All right, so now we look at 2, one with no solution, one with many solutions. Let us move on to the third example. All right, so here we have 5x plus 8 equals to 2x minus 1. When you have an equation like this and you just have one variable term on the left and one variable term on the right, you don't even have to solve this to know how many solutions. You can look at the coefficient of these two variable terms. Once the coefficient is different, this is what we call the coefficient. The coefficient is the number in front of the variable. Once these coefficients are different, it means that this equation has one solution. You don't even have to try and solve it. This is just saying only one value of x will satisfy this equation. All right, so we could go ahead and solve it to make sure that what we are saying is true. All right, so let us start by solving. So here we are going to group our like terms on one side of the equation, whether it be to the left or the right. And as I said in previous video, I prefer to move my smaller variable term to where the larger variable term is. So I'm going to move my 2 over to where the 5 by using inverse operation. So to do this, I'm going to take 2 from the right, 2x from the right, and I'm also going to take 2x from the left. So this is going to be canceled out, which is 0. So on my right, I'm going to have -1, and on my left, I'm going to have 3x plus 8. So now I have my variable term on one side. Now I need to put the constant on one side. So I need to put my positive 8 where on the right-hand side where I have that other constant. To do that, again, I use inverse operation, the opposite of what is happening there. So I'm going to take away 8 from the left. If I take 8 from the left, I also take 8 from the right. So this is going to be 0. So I am going to have 3x equals to -9. So remember now, if you don't know how to add or subtract negative number, you can always use your calculator. So -9 minus 8 is -1 minus 8 is equals to -9. All right. So here now we have another step to go because we still have 3x here. We need to divide through by 3. Dividing again, we are doing the opposite. 3 is multiplying the x. So the only way to get rid of the 3 is to do the opposite, which is division. So we divide by 3 here. So on my left, I'm going to have x. And if I divide the right by 3, I'm going to have -3. So this is saying x is equals to -3. This equation has one solution. If you substitute the value of x into this equation, this value, this is the only value that will make the equation true. And we are going to try to make sure that what we are saying is true. So let us check our answer right here. So the original equation, we have 5x plus 8 equals to 2x minus 1. So let us substitute the value of x because we know what is x now. So we're going to have 5 times -3 plus 8 equals to 2 times -3 minus 1. So 5 times -3 is -15 plus 8. And 6 times -3 is 2 times -3 is -6 minus 1 here. So -15 plus 8 is -7, and -6 minus 1 is -7. So if you look here, the left-hand side is equal to the right. So the value of x here is true for this equation because when you substitute, you get the left and the right to be the same. All right, so let us just choose a random number for x now, to see if it satisfies the equation. So again, we're gonna have 5. Let us choose 2. Let's say that x is 2 here, plus 8 equals to 2 times 2 minus 1. So we replace the x with 2. Just choose a random number to see if it will work. So 2 times 5. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 plus 8 here. We write back our constant. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 1. So 10 plus 8 is 18 here on my left. And 4 minus 1 is equal to 3. So this is not true. If you notice here on my left hand side of the equal sign, we have 18, and on the right, I have 3. 18 is not equal to 3. They are not the same. They are different, all right? So therefore, the left-hand side is not equal to the right. So now you see why we say that this equation only have one solution. Only one value will satisfy, and this value is what? -3. If you choose any other value for x, it will not satisfy the equation. All right? So if you can't do these problems mentally, just start by solving them and check to see how many solutions. So again, in looking at this one, once you have one variable term on the left and one variable term on the right, you just look at the coefficient. If the coefficients are different, it has one solution. If you don't have one variable term, what you can do is to combine the like terms and then you check when you have the one variable term. Let us go back here to number 2. Once you look at the equation and the same exact thing is on the left as the right of the equal sign, then it has what? Infinitely many solutions. If when you combine the like term, for example, in number 1, you have the same variable, same coefficient, but the constants are different, it means that it has no solution. And again, if you can't do this mentally, just follow the steps in solving an equation, and then you can make your decision after solving the equation.